Hi, everyone. I welcome you to another interesting and exciting moment here with Chigos and Divo. This is quite interesting. Today's topical issues the rush by the Nigerian government to assent to the old national anthem that was adopted without allowing it to pass through the public, of course, vetting or hearing or opinions of the masses of this country on the recent action by the National Assembly. And of course, the president of Nigeria went very fast to assent and pass it into law, thinking that is what Nigeria needed. But that is, to me, a very big distraction and the misplacement of priorities. What Nigerians, an average Nigerian prioritize is how to survive, their welfare. What is the living standard of the average Nigerian state? For the National Assembly to have contemplated discarding the current national anthem is an indication that Nigerian state is irredeemable. Because if they have considered the current national anthem of no importance, have not served any purpose to reintegrate, to ensure the unity of all asunder within the Nigerian state, then that is a defeated mission that the current National Assembly could not understand or think out what is the fundamental problem with the Nigerians, rejected Nigerians. When you sample the opinions of Nigerians, millions of Nigerians, if not tens of millions, have rejected the Nigerian government. The entity called Nigeria, as rightly submitted by the uh, former chief of staff or defense staff, Theophilus Danjuma, said that Nigeria has become a mockery to the Community of Nations. Why did he say so? Because of the incessant killings in his own region of the locals or the indigenous people has been displaced, dislodged, killed, their farmlands overrun and taken by the Fulani militias and other, of course, groups without being brought to justice. And he said that it's quite unfortunate that what is happening in Nigeria is becoming a mockery to the Community of Nations, a country that is laughable, and because of the recent antecedents. And the National Assembly thought the only way to redeem the image of the battered image of the Nigerian state is only to change, adopt the old National Assembly and replace it with the current one, which the Nigerian President Ahmed Bola Tinubu have signed into law. But that is another blunder. You cannot solve a problem by using a different problem. What you should do is to think out why is Nigerian public reputation or public image perception very low. Why is it that international communities does not regard the Nigerian citizens across the globe? Why is it that Nigeria has become a subject of arguments, of discrepancy, even within the Nigerian populace, within the supposed citizens of Nigeria? They have rejected the Nigerian state in total because Nigeria means to them suffering, hunger, pain, agony, insecurity, killings here and there. Nowhere seems to be safe. And you think the only way to solve that problem or to live in denial or to evade your responsibility is to adopt the old national anthem against the new one, which is not even by consensus opinion of the masses of this country. Because if you ask an average Nigerian what his nagging issues or needs are, he will clearly tell you that it's hunger, the surviving quest for an average Nigerian, how to feed his or her family, how to be secured is the primary responsibility of government. But when the government has failed in these primary responsibilities, they start beating about the bush. You see, beating about the fish, thinking that they can catch the air. The truth is staring at us that people have rejected Nigeria, and as such, it is very clear and very open, and have got down with the National Assembly for them to think how, of course, irrelevant this national anthem has been, to be replaced by the older one, which was jettisoned, because that's brotherhoodness is no longer there. It had been defeated, and you can understand what is playing out. Quite unfortunate, but the reality is that Nigerians have rejected Nigeria. When you ask the very essence of existence, of governance within Nigeria have been defeated. The primary essence of any responsible government is to protect life and property of her supposed citizens. And of course, the welfare of the citizens should have been prioritized. But the unfortunate thing is that this is not the case about the Nigerian state. And of course, trying to coerce or force the Nigerian populace who have rejected the Nigerian project due to negligence, misgovernance that spans over decades cannot be an easy task. When you sample the opinion of an average Nigerian, millions have forgotten Nigeria and have given up in the Nigerian system. This is quite unfortunate, but that is the reality, starting at us. And there is nothing you can do to address these issues. The approach of the National Assembly is quite ridiculous. If you think you can win the minds of Nigerians by just adopting the old national anthem that was discarded, you are just making the greatest mistake. That is nothing but the truth. And that is the reality. You cannot make life ungovernable for the people. You cannot be driven by selfish interests and self satisfying interests and think you can build a nation that could be acceptable by all. It is quite ridiculous again for the government, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, or the president to have assented to that bill without seeking the opinions of the generality of the Nigerian masses that have given up in this system. You can imagine in a state where the governor can embezzle over 90 billion from the state treasury, and yet he goes out scot free. Even the EFCC, that happens to be the institution that combats or fights criminality and abuse of power, have failed. Of most recent, one of the celebrated and respected eminence, His Royal Eminence Oba of Benin, accused the EFCC of being corrupt and aiding corruption. And what does that tell you about the Nigerian state? That people have given up in this Nigerian system. Things are not working. I mean, of course, from the system, you can understand how the level of rejection by even the Nigerians and the perception, public perception of an average Nigerian across the international communities is nothing to write home about. Of most recent, Theophilus Danjuma, one of the notable personalities within the Nigerian politics, said that Nigeria is becoming a mockery to the Community of Nations. Nigeria is becoming a laughable stock, and you can understand his position. What he said so with the prevailing evidence of insecurity, corruption, endemic corruption, ethnic bigotry, and what have you. His own communities are being ransacked, killed, and replaced by the Fulani militias, and yet the government have not brought the perpetrators to book. How would that foster, of course, a coherent and cohabitable society? You're just headed for the worst, and the worst is starting at us. So the National Assembly moved, thinking that they could address the myriads of problems bedeviling Nigeria by only wishing away those problems and just contemplating on replacing the national anthem is a defeated, of course, move. It's one of the weakest or poorest decision that can be taken by any responsible government to address the myriads of problems, bedeviling the ethnic nationalities that have been a cog in the wheel of the Nigerian progress. Not until these issues have been ironed out and discussed, either through referendum or calling a national sovereign conference, Nigeria will not recover from this anytime soon. That is the reality. And you can't deny that. And that is the true position. Until the government of the day wakes up to the reality and accept their defeat, their incapability and misgovernance, and will want to chart the way forward by being sincere, coming out with sincerity to address these issues: imbalance, injustice, unfairness meted on some ethnic nationality, precisely the Igbos or the defunct Biafran regions, after this bloody civil war that ended in 1970. These people has not been reintegrated into the Nigerian project. They have been sidelined deliberately and is becoming more loud and pronounced, which, of course, of most recent, you can see how the Mieti Anla leader was dismissed. The federal government withdrew the case or dropped the case against him, bordering on terrorism charges and what have you. Why the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra is being seen head bound, incarcerated under DSS dungeon for barely 3 years, and yet no justice, no fair trial, no opportunity to defend himself based on the principles of law has been allowed, of course, to take place. The intimidation and suppression becomes very clear that no one can deny. And you think these people will feel good about the Nigerian state? You think you can convince them beyond any reasonable doubt to believe in Nigerian projects? This and more, of course, have affirmed the fears of these people that they are not regarded or being part of the Nigerian state. No wonder the continued agitation for the restoration declaration of the Biafran state has gained more momentum, has gained more public acceptance and adoption by different quarters. More people voting yes for the Biafran self referendum because of the recent development. And it is very clear, and of course, staring at the faces of the National Assembly, that Nigeria is coming to an irreversible end. If the Nigerians, populace, can reject Nigeria, can be dissatisfied with what is happening, or the public image of an average Nigerian in the Committee of Nations is more of that of criminality, being perceived to be or have a criminal tendency, is quite disturbing, quite unfortunate, but that is the reality. The National Assembly have come, unfortunately, to the truth of this matter, but the approach in addressing this matter is quite laughable and very disturbing. Rather than taking the holistic approach addressing the issue, they decide to live in denial again and not making any, of course, deliberate attempt or conscious attempt to address the imbalance, the injustice, the unfairness, the ethnic bigotry, the religious sentiment, the whosoever wins takes all, the killings and the conspiracy of the state against some group of persons or ethnic nationalities. Not until this is addressed, of course, it's almost too late because some regions have decided to move on with their life, and you can't take that away from them. It is an inalienable right as enshrined in United Nations People's Humans and People's Rights Charter. The right to self-determination, of course, have been fueled by these irregularities, imbalance, injustice in the system, sustained deliberately by those who should know better. Just of recent, the Attorney General of the Federation admitted being not being aware of the trial of Mazin Namdi Kanu case. The same person, Attorney General of the Federation, withdrew the case against Sodibu, against Sowore, and against, of course, the leader of the Bieti Allah, in the interest of protecting justice. Such terrorism allegations was discontinued. But why not the case of Mazen Nadikano, who happens to be the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, who only was asking for self determination, for justice, fairness, and equity entrenched within the Nigerian state. But when it becomes very impossible for him to see that coming through, he decided, of course, to move on with his people and to chart a way forward for their own people, which is self determination. It's never an error, it's never a crime against the state. That is the truth. But people rather live in denial, cover up the truth because it does not protect their interests, their selfish interests for that matter. But the reality is that you can't stop a people who are determined and focused to liberate themselves from the shackles of their oppressors, are using the instrumentality of the law. But when the law fails, of course, it makes room for anarchy, coercion, and use of force, just as the Biafrans have been forced to engage or to use arms in defense of themselves. They are not offensive, but defensive in their approach because they have come to the point of being risk extinction of these ethnic nationalities. That informs the reason why, of course, millions, of course, today are forgetting Nigeria in a hurry, are not willing to identify with the Nigerian system. Why? Because of the past. Of course, the present have not fostered any coherence, any unity, any nationality. In fact, the national assemblies are the reasons why Nigeria is what it is. They have not been so sincere to themselves. You can imagine taking undue advantage of the masses who selected or appointed you in offices of representation. People have been misrepresented or underrepresented by the supposed national assemblies, including the lower and upper chamber. What they're doing there is representing or serving their own interests. Arise, your compatriot, Nigeria calls to obey. Nobody, of course, seems to be obeying again. Everybody to himself and God for us all. If you don't let the devil take you, where criminality and embezzlement of funds, public funds, are being celebrated. Yes, people who steal the public funds are becoming more heroes, the heroes of the day. If you're not doing what they're doing, then it means you are a coward or you don't know what is trending. It's quite unfortunate. By so doing, you have widened the gap of poverty, illiteracy, and of course, economic mishap, buhaha, hitting the Nigerian state and the people. And people have lost confidence in the Nigerian project, and the national assemblies are the ones sharing the common treasures of the populace. Of recent, you hear the president of the Senate saying that enjoyment money have been sent to their different accounts, or further still, to their email. They have received some inbox sent to them. Who do you deceive? There is no patriotism. There is no nationalistic, mindset within those who occupy the Senate chambers, a place that should be considered as a hallowed chamber, dedicated to the service of their own people or those who they represent. But unfortunately, the reverse is the case. They are now asking whether they will consider allow the masses to breathe, the poor masses they describe, the people who give them opportunity to represent them. Such kind of nation or people or senators, you wouldn't want to identify with them. They have seen that Nigerians have rejected them, has passed a vote of no confidence in them. And of course, some regions have made up their mind to succeed from this Nigeria. And that you can't take away from them because they have justifiable reasons. Reasons ranging from injustice, suppression, marginalization, not being included in the Nigerian project, being denied their rights even when they deserve it. Of course, I've informed the reason why the sustained agitation for the restoration of Biafra remains inevitable. In fact, is the only panacea to a lasting peace and solution to the millions of problems bedeviling the Nigerian state. It is quite unfortunate, but that is the reality staring at us. So the president, Bola Tinubu, going further to assent to the bill, of course, to bring back the old National Assembly or Nigeria We Healthy, which recognize the ethnic nationalities. So why in the first place was that particular anthem jettisoned? Because they wanted to cover up the atrocities against some ethnic nationalities. They don't believe in brotherhood. Otherwise, they would have upheld the National Assembly or national anthem instead. They never believe in coherence or coexistence. Otherwise, they would have preached that and, of course, not been dissension in their own approach to issues. Where there is no justice, equity, and fairness, where some people are perceived to be more equal than others, you don't expect progress and unity. You don't expect integration. You can't force people, of course, to accept the injustice that is thrown on them, tossed on them. They will have a way to resist it because it's their inalienable right, of course, to decide their future and political affiliations. And that is where we have come to the wit end. Nigeria has been stretched beyond its threshold of resistance, its threshold of continuity. The only thing the National Assembly and every concern could do at this time is to call for the National Sovereign Conference or possibly declare a referendum vote where everybody or ethnic nationalities will discuss the continued existence of Nigeria and whether they still believe in the Nigerian struggle. There's nothing wrong if Nigeria parts ways. Other countries have done it successfully and they are doing exceedingly well, controlling their own resources and their own security and moving at their own pace and developing at their own pace for the good of all within the locality. That is just the case, and that is just the maxim. You can't deny this, except you want to live, continue to live in deception. Nigeria is no more together, and that is the reason why the National Assembly will contemplate discarding the current national anthem. Have not served any purpose. Arise, O compatriot. Nigeria calls obey to serve our fatherland. Nobody with is wants to serve the fatherland, but to serve their interests, the political interests, their political affiliations, and that of their cronies. That is what is prevalent today. And with such, you have ended up destroying the very essence of existence or even having any future of building an egalitarian society. That is what Nigeria is today. It's at the point of decision making, at the crossroads. And people have rejected you. You can't deny the reality. People who you have forced into hunger, depression, frustration, deprivation have rejected the entity called Nigeria. And to some, Nigeria is dead in their minds. Psychologically, you can't win the war because Nigeria to them represents poverty, backwardness, destruction of their destiny. Millions are leaving the shores of this country. Even those who are gainfully employed are leaving because there's no security. The future of this country is very bleak. One of the pronounced or prominent preacher, Sam Adeyemi, of course, tweeted that why he left Nigeria is because of the uncertainties, of course, and in the affairs of Nigeria, revealed through his dream. He has to leave, abandon his own mission, abandon his own ministry in Nigeria, and left for USA. Now, what happens to his vulnerable members, those who believe in him, who could not afford to travel outside the shores of Nigeria? Then they are abandoned to their own fate. You can imagine what an irony, what a ridiculous experience. You left because you have the opportunity, you have the financial capability to leave. What happens to thousands of your followers who are vulnerable, who have become victims of this cruelty, deprivation, suppression, denial, economic mishap, sustained, occasioned by the misgovernance of those who are supposedly uh, within the corridors of power? including with the collaboration or conspiracy of the national assemblies and the legislatures. The judiciary have, of course, have not done any good instead. And with all these myriads of problems, you can't blame the people for rejecting the Nigeria. And you can't think you can win the hearts of the masses again without addressing these myriads of problems. Thinking that just replacing the national anthem will solve your problem. Of course, we remove the goods you have placed on yourself. It's quite unfortunate, but the masses are laughing. The masses are laughing because they knew really that you are just gasping for air on life support. In fact, Nigeria is on life support. With what is happening, militaries are dying, policemen are not spared across the regions of the country. The north, you see the buhahas, the incessant activities, masses are being adopted, children's raped, their mothers raped, killed, harassed, the children, the men have been slaughtered. No one can go to farm again. That is quite ridiculous that you have a system, you have a government that claims to have sovereignty over these regions. They have lost the right to governance of these regions because if they can protect the lives and property of the citizens within those regions, then they have lost the entire rights to govern them. But they keep living in denial, where Nigerian masses or populace are being taxed by foreigners or non-state actors. You see Boko Haram leaving the masses of the north, giving them condition, of course, to go out and come in or to access their farmlands. These are areas are still called the Nigerian states. It's quite unfortunate, but that is the reality. Nigeria has been divided more than ever in history, most especially in this administration of APC, and that is quite sad. You can't deny that.